While I personally join with my opponent's disgust at any unnecessary animal deaths that result from testing, the reality is that in vivo testing is effective and is the only means to test certain drugs, vaccines, and chemicals where no alternative exists. Plus, an outright ban would have harmful effects on humans. I acknowledge the advancement of science in the field of in vitro testing, but it is not the complete replacement for live tests, and thus I stand in negation of the resolution. Resolved. The United States federal government should ban all testing that requires the use of animals. Observation 1. The use of the word all in the resolution places a steep though achievable burden upon the pro. My opponent must show that all testing requiring animals can and should be stopped. The opposition needs only prove that there exist sufficient cases where viable alternatives do not exist to win this debate. Contention 1. Alternatives are not valid replacements for in vivo testing. US FDA states specifically why alternative testing cannot replace live testing for pharmaceuticals at this time. From Dr. Wilcox, US FDA Director of Animal Care Practices, 1994, quote, "For true replacement of an in vivo with an in vitro model to successfully occur, research should focus on the mechanisms of dermal or ocular irritation in humans. Tissue repair, the reversibility of lesions, is an important facet in classification of substances. Similarly, some products may not cause severe tissue damage or visible irritation upon exposure, but may cause considerable discomfort or pain. Demonstrating such phenomena will be most difficult without in vivo modeling," end quote. Even the creators of the modern alternatives insist that total replacement isn't possible and may never be. From Dr. Jonathan Dordick, creator of the data chip test, September 2008. Quote, "Scientists have developed a new in vitro screening tool that may reduce the number of animals needed in drug testing. The cell culture slide, known as data chip, has been tested with human bladder, liver, kidney, heart, skin, or lung cells. While they don't think that their product will totally replace the use of live laboratory animals in drug testing, they do think that it could reduce the total number of animals used in bringing new products to the marketplace," end quote. The impact here is that watchdogs and alternatives testing scientists, the very people backing the pro's case, admit that they cannot replace live testing. If live testing cannot be replaced, no matter how much the opposition wants to, no matter how deplorable the death of the animal is, the need outweighs the desire. Contention 2. An outright ban is not needed and would impact human health. Animal testing is not animal cruelty. Humane testing methods are required and can be achieved. From Charles River Labs, a leading lab for testing vaccines, April 2013, quote, "The In Vivo Biosafety Testing Service is a specialized technical group of Charles River that performs preclinical research studies. These studies and test methods comply with the most stringent international standards for the use of laboratory animal models to demonstrate the safety of medical products," end quote. The article goes on to state how that compliance is achieved using humane compliant GLP conditions. From the same source, quote, "The inapparent virus assay is our most complex test and is performed under GLP conditions. The assay includes a 28-day period in which several species are inoculated with a test article, a vaccine, through various routes and are then monitored daily for the prescribed observation period. Unlike antibody production tests, which are based on post-mortem serological results, the IVA is based on the animal's clinical well-being and survival rate," end quote. This testing method is effective and regarded as the gold standard for humane, non-destructive testing. Therefore, removing the in vivo testing process would essentially make human subjects the initial live trial. Many times, the effect of a new drug cannot be determined in an animal until necropsy, or in this case, human pathology or autopsy. This would mean a return to human experimentation of a type and scale not seen since the days of Nazi Germany. It dehumanizes the patient, turning them into guinea pigs and turning doctors into the Frankensteins and Hydes that they never signed on to become. Additionally, pain cannot be tested in vitro. Thus, products tested solely in vitro without animals could potentially be excruciating to the end patient. And now a couple of specific responses to the pro. First of all, allow me to state the obvious when I say that an opinion does not constitute viable evidence. My opponent opens his first contention by saying that most people would agree that animal testing is immoral. He does not cite a study, poll, or other valid source for this assertion. He merely states it as fact. Thus, I don't know what he exactly means by immoral, what framework he's using, etc. Thus, I can't refute his claims. I need more information. For those keeping score at home, my opponent does not cite a single source to back up any of the claims he makes. He starts by claiming that a study showed that over 2/3 of animal tests conducted in the United States did not positively benefit human society. A study is an incredibly vague source to quote in a case. I ask my opponent to list his citations before the next speech, as I have done below. My opponent likewise claims the cosmetics industry inflicts pain on animals in the pursuit of fashion. However, according to the FDA, quote, "The Federal Food, Drug, and Cosmetic Act does not specifically require the use of animals in testing cosmetics for safety, nor does it subject cosmetics to FDA pre-market approval," end quote. Because the United States federal government does not require the testing of cosmetics on animals, such tests are outside the scope of this debate, since the resolution only calls for the end of all federally mandated animal testing. As such, these tests wouldn't be ended even if you did affirm the resolution. In his third contention, my opponent argued that drugs passed in animal testing often harm human patients once approved. He supported this by citing again A studies, saying that 25% of all drugs passed by animal testing actually harm people, causing horrific side effects. Once again, A study is not a proper citation and as such does not validate my opponent's argument, nor does he state that alternative forms of testing would have caught these mistakes. This is not unique. Likewise, he claims that 90% of all stillbirths were caused by a drug that was passed under animal testing. What drug? When did this happen? What is my opponent's source? He gives us none of this. I couldn't find it in my research. I asked him to cite his sources so that I can research it for proper refutation. Finally, my opponent claims that there are valid alternatives to animal testing that are just as effective as live testing. He mentions in vitro human cell testing and in silico computer modeling as the alternatives in question. First, cross-apply my well-warranted contention 1 that directly challenges this with evidence. And second, he does not provide a proper warrant proving that such methods are as effective as animal testing, let alone more so. There will come a day when human progress is not born on the backs of our animal companions, but sadly that is not this day. Thank you.